Shalom. I would like to start by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakakwadash. And I would also like to give a sincere salutation out there to the elect, preaching this word in truth and sincerity, and double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone for passing down this truth. Now, in today's lesson, I want to go into how we being the elect, Lord's will, I am of the elect, we have no attachment to this world, you see? So, first I looked up on Google, I asked, what is the difference between an attachment and a connection? And I got a connection is a free-flowing, present moment bond rooted in mutual respect, love, and freedom, whereas attachment is a fear-based, possessive need for security, often driven by fear or loss. Connection promotes personal growth and authenticity, while attachment often causes emotional dependence, anxiety, and energy depletion. You see, in this world, we have no attachments because really an attachment, as you can see, it has a negative connotation to it. In this faith, you have to be ready to let things go, or else it's going to hold you back. So we do have connections in this world, whether it be to people or things or whatever it is. But as it says, a present moment bond rooted in mutual respect, love, and freedom. It's something that's in the present moment, and it's free flowing. Means it could change. You know, you could have a connection to something now, and down the line, you might not have a connection to it no more. But whereas if you have an attachment to something, you're going to always have that attachment to it. You see, it's going to be hard to let it go. So I'm going to kick it off. Go to 1 John 2:15. The header reads, "Do not love the world." It says, love not the world. It says, "Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, and the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world passeth away, and the lust thereof. But he that doeth the will of the Most High abideth forever." You see? Because you can't love the world and love the Lord. You can't do two things at once. For you're going to love the one and hate the other. You see? You can't be in the flesh and in the spirit at the same time. It doesn't work like that. Let's go to Jeremiah 31:3. I should go to 31 and start at the top. It says, "At the same time, saith the Lord Yahweh, will I be the God of all the families of Israel, and they shall be my people. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, the people which were left of the sword found grace in the wilderness. Even Israel, when I went to cause him to rest. The Lord hath appeared of old unto me, saying ye, I have loved thee with an everlasting love. Therefore with loving kindness have I drawn thee." And you see, let's go into drawn. Let's see, have I drawn thee? In the Hebrew, it's Mashach.
Strong's H 4900. Mashach.
It says to draw, drag, seize, to draw and lift out, to drag along, lead along, drag or lead off, draw down. See, to proceed. You see, the point being is, I'm going to read the third verse again. It says, "The Lord Yahweh hath appeared of old unto me, saying ye, I have loved thee with an everlasting love. Therefore, with loving kindness have I drawn thee. And where did he draw us? He drawn us from the world, you see? You see, the Lord has his elect, and he gave his elect this faith and this knowledge and this wisdom and this understanding to operate in this world that we exist in today. That was a gift from the Lord. You see, that's mercy. It says again, I will build thee, and thou shalt be built, O Virgin of Israel. Thou shalt again be adorned with thy tabrets, and shalt go forth in the dances of them to make merry. That was the point. Let's go to Jeremiah 6 and 16. It says, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, stand ye in the ways, and see, and ask for the old paths. It says, where is the good way, and walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls. But they said, we will not walk therein. You see, we should be seeking the old path, the old way, the way things were meant to be, because that's the righteous way. The Lord had everything perfect. He created everything perfect. But us trying to do things our own way is what causes all this destruction. People trying to do things their own way rather than the way the Lord intended it. You see? Let's read it in the NLT. See how it reads. This is, again, Jeremiah 6 and 16 in the NLT. It says, this is what the Lord says. Stop at the crossroads and look around. Ask for the old, godly way and walk in it. Travel its path, and you will find rest for your souls. But you reply, no, that's not the road we want. You see, the old path is the road to salvation, the road to peace, everlasting life, you see? But you see, you have Israel that's living in the world now that don't know any better or don't care to know any better, that like the way it is now. They think the way it is now is the way it's supposed to be. But us that's of this knowledge know this isn't it. It gets way greater than this. It's supposed to be way better than this, but we're going through our hell. But to the people that's on the outside, the people in the world, they think this is as good as it gets. That's why it makes no sense to love this place or trim your ways to seek love. Ultimately, it's just going to be your demise. Just keep the main thing the main thing. In Lord's will, if you make it to the end, you'll get everlasting life, riches, women, family. You know, you'll have it all and forever to enjoy it. You'll have your heart's desire, as they would say. Now, let's go to 1 Corinthians 2 and I'll start at verse 6. Go back to the King James. 1 Corinthians 2 and 6, it says, howbeit we speak wisdom among them that are perfect, ye not the wisdom of this world, nor of the princes of this world that come to naught, but we speak the wisdom of the Most High in a mystery, even the hidden wisdom which the Most High ordained before the world unto our glory. You see, the wisdom of the world it's like it's foolish. It's like it profits us nothing, you see. The wisdom of this world, it only is valuable in this world. But when you decided to come into this faith and really take heed and really make this a part of your life and put off that old man to become a new man and renewed your mind, you put off the world. So the wisdom of the world serves you no good. It serves us no good. That's why we preach the wisdom of Yahweh B'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, and not this world. Because ultimately, we're not looking for anything in this world. We want what's coming to us in the next world, the next rulership, the kingdom. 8th verse, it says, which none of the princes of this world knew, for had they known it, they would not have crucified the Lord of glory. But as it is written, I have not seen nor ear heard, neither have entered into the heart of man the things which God hath prepared for them that love him. But God hath revealed them unto us by his Spirit. For the Spirit searcheth all things, ye the deep things of God. For what man knoweth the things of a man, save the spirit of man, which is in him? Even so, the things of God knoweth no man, but the Spirit of God. You see, if you're just somebody that's in the world, in Christianity, or you're an atheist, you don't believe in nothing, you don't know what the Lord's will is. You don't know what the Lord has planned for the world and his men and the 2/3. You have no idea. You're in complete darkness. But those of us that meditate in the Spirit and put our faith in the Lord and, really just want to be the best we can be for the Lord and Lord's will when he comes back, we have mercy in his sight. You see, he finds us worthy. Again, 1 Corinthians 2:11, it says, for what man knoweth the things of a man, save the spirit of man which is in him? It says, even so, the things of God knoweth no man but the Spirit of God. It says now, and you see this knowledge that we've been so grateful to have gotten through the vessels being our elders, because really everything, it comes from the Lord. This Spirit, it comes from the Lord, but he put the Spirit on the men that we learned from first, which are the elder apostles of Great Millstone, and then they passed it down throughout generations, and here we are now. You see, the Spirit is the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of these scriptures is a dose of the Spirit of God. You see, 12th verse, it says, now we have received not the spirit of the world, but the Spirit which is of God, that we might know the things that are freely given to us of God. It says, which things also we speak, not in the words which man's wisdom teacheth, but which the Holy Ghost teacheth, comparing spiritual things with spiritual. You see, this knowledge and wisdom that we was, so blessed to have obtained, you didn't learn this in the Christian church. You didn't learn this in high school, in elementary school, middle school, in college. You learned this from the men of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. That's how you know this is all spiritual. That's how you know the Lord is real. Here it is. The Lord gave the Spirit to man to preach this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, giving us our knowledge and our heritage of who we are and where we come from. Our origin story wasn't in the plantation in the field. We was a people way before that. And through Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai and the elders, we obtained that knowledge. It says, but the natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of God, for they are foolish unto him. Neither can he know them, because they are spiritually discerned. It says, but he that is spiritual judgeth all things, yet he himself is judged of no man. For who hath known the mind of the Lord, that he may instruct him? But we have the mind of Yahushua. You see, I gotta read the 15th verse. Let's read in the NLT. I'm gonna start at the 12th verse in the NLT. Read fast. It says, and we have received God's Spirit, not the world's spirit, so we can know the wonderful things God has freely given us. It says, when we tell you these things, we do not use words that come from human wisdom. Instead, we speak the words given to us by the Spirit, using the Spirit's words to explain spiritual things. And you see, that's heavy. Using the Spirit's words to explain spiritual things. Because really, you got to have the Spirit of the Lord to even take in and comprehend and digest and understand what it is that's even being spoken to you. Because if you don't have the Spirit, it's just going to go way over your head. That's why if you're carnal minded and ultimately if you're not of the elect, you're not going to get this truth, because it's not meant for you to understand. It says, but people who aren't spiritual can't receive these truths from God's Spirit. It all sounds foolish to them, and they can't understand it. For only those who are spiritual can understand what the Spirit means. You see, when you try and tell somebody that's carnal in the world, just living for the weekend, about the chariots of the Lord, the so-called UFOs, they're not going to understand you. They're going to look at you like you bugging. When you tell somebody America is going to be destroyed soon, America is not going to go on forever, America don't got another 250 years, they're going to look at you like you crazy. What are you talking about? You bugging. You see, but that's because it's not meant for them to understand. When you try to tell them that we are the chosen people of the Lord, we all aren't, how do they say in the world, especially the Christians, we're all children of God? That's not true. Yes, he created us all, but he has a chosen people that he, selected, a chosen nation, an elect nation. And then he has an elect people within the nation. You see, a carnal mind, a simple mind, they can't understand that. How could they possibly? You could sit there till you blue in the face. You could sit there and break it down for them. You could do a 3-hour lesson with them. It'll go right over their head because it's not meant for them to get it. So that's why if you even understand this a little bit, count yourself blessed and, remain steadfast and try and keep learning. In Lord's will, you might gain greater understanding. Not to go off on a tangent, just a sidebar. I remember when I first came into the truth through the HOI, the House of Israel, yes, I did learn from those men. Yes, I did. They did show me who I was in the Bible, what nation I go back to, and how we're a chosen people and all of that. But my faith only grew but so far. But nonetheless, it was my entry point. And then as I learned my first time hearing of this word, I just kept listening and listening and listening. And then the Spirit showed me GMS. And then from there, it was like the floodgates was open. The knowledge and the Spirit, it just took over, and that's what let me know, like, yeah, GMS, this is it. They got it. So, continuing on, 15th verse, it says, those who are spiritual can elevate all things, but they themselves cannot be evaluated by others. You see, because here it is, we have the greatest knowledge in the planet Earth. And here it is, a nigga that's in the world is going to tell us what we don't and don't know, what is and what is. They can't tell us nothing because they don't know nothing. They don't have the knowledge of Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai, and the Spirit. They got the knowledge of the world. So what the hell can you possibly say to us? 16th verse. It says, for who can know the Lord's thoughts? Who knows enough to teach him? But we understand these things, for we have the mind of Yahweh Shai. That's heavy right there. Now, let's go to Revelation chapter 18. Go back to the King James. Revelation 18:1. It says, the header reads, Babylon is fallen. It says, and after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. It says, for all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth wax rich through the abundance of her delicacies. I gotta read that again. It says, for all nations have drunken of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And you see, the nation, the world, took on the ideology and philosophy of America. You see, Babylon the Great. But we took on the ideologies and the philosophies and the understanding and the wisdom of Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai. You see? It says, for all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. And this talk about Let me read it some more. It says, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. And that's talking about how the other nations have done business with America, like them Saudis, how they got that oil money doing business with America. Them Saudis, they so rich, they'll buy a foreign car, they'll buy a Lamborghini, tear it up in the dunes, and once the car craps out, it don't work no more, they'll just leave it there. They got a massive amount of wealth. It says, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. You see, come out of her, my people. And it's not talking about getting on a plane or getting on a boat and escaping America. No, it's talking about your mind. You got to free your mind from the ideologies and philosophies of America, because ultimately it's going to be a trap. It's going to lead you into destruction. You see? It says, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. Now, let's go to Romans chapter 12. I'm going to start at the top. It says, it's Romans 12:1. It says, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of the Most High, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transferred. Salakia says, and be ye let me read it again, Salakia. A little excited. This is Romans 12:2. It says, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of the Most High. And you see, that's what we want. We're striving for the masteries, as the scriptures say. We want the perfect way. We want the world to be the way the Lord intended it to be. So you got to come at it. You got to just disconnect, disassociate from this world, disattach, if that's a word. Unattach, I should say. Unattach yourself from this world. Because ultimately, if you still have any traces of an attachment to this world, when that ultimate test comes, you're going to fail. And what is that ultimate test? The mark of the beast, the microchip. If you can't forsake, because these little things, these little trials that we go through in the world, forsaking the things of this world, is ultimately just micro. But when that ultimate test comes, we're going to have to be ready to say fuck it to everything, literally everything. So if you don't have the spirit for that, if you're not building up your spirit now for that moment, when you take that test, you're going to fail. I was watching the brother Almawan Gabar's video yesterday, and he made that point. He likened it to like when you was in school and you had a test coming up and you didn't study, you didn't prepare, nothing. And then when the day, that testing day comes, we all know that feeling in your stomach, knowing like, that nervousness feeling. It's going to be that same feeling in the day when the MOTB is made mandatory, that test that you're going to fail. But the elect, they're going to pass the test with flying colors. Now let's go to Matthew 19. Let's start at the 16th verse. Yeah, it's a lot on that. Yeah, let's start at the 16th verse. It says, and behold, and one came. Let's read it in the NLT. Let's read in the NLT. This is Matthew 19:16 in the NLT. It says, someone came to Yahushua with this question, Teacher, what good deed must I do to have eternal life? It says, why ask me about what is good? Yahushua replied, there is only one who is good. That's talking, the one is Yahweh he is speaking of, That's the humility of Yahushua. It says, but to answer your question, if you want to receive eternal life, keep the commandments. Which ones? You know, the rich man answered. The man asks, which one? The rich man asks. It says the man asks, and Yahushua replied, you must not murder, you must not commit adultery, you must not steal, you must not testify falsely. Sounds easy enough, right? It says, honor your fathers and mother, love your neighbor as yourself. I've obeyed all these commandments. The young man replied, what else must I do? Yahushua told him, if you want to be perfect, go and sell all your possessions and give the money to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. Then come follow me. But when the young man heard this, he went away sad, for he had many possessions. You see, the Lord, Yahushua, he didn't tell him what he wanted to hear. He went away sad because he was like, he already knew in his heart of hearts, I can't do that. You asking for too much, Lord. I can't do that. Why is that? Because he wasn't rooted. He was unsure. And if you have that spirit, you're not going to make it into the kingdom of heaven. You're not going to make it because you're going to fail that test. You see, the elect, they put off everything, literally everything. And I don't think people understand the magnitude of that. Forsaking everything to follow Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. You know, because that's the ultimate test of faith. Because the riches and the possessions, they help you now. They serve you now. They're good for you now. But following Yahweh Shai and forsaking everything, you're going to get a return on your investment. That's going to pay dividends. You're going to get that on the back end. That all that sacrifice, the great sacrifice that you made to follow Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, it's really going to pay off in the long run when all hell is breaking loose here in America. Death, famine, plagues, Yahweh Shai cracking the clouds, destroying this Babylon the Great. You're going to want to have a hedge of protection in that day. You're going to want to make it onto that chariot, into that vessel in that day. You see? So this is a very serious thing. And the people of the world, the carnal minded, they can't understand that. They living for the weekend. You see? Continuing on to Matthew 19:23, it says, then Yahushua said to his disciples, I tell you the truth. It is very hard for a rich person to enter into the kingdom of heaven. I'll say it again. Oh, Salakia, also, the point I wanted to make in the 22nd verse, I'll read it again. It says, but when the young man heard this, he went away sad, for he had many possessions. You see, that's because he's attached to his possessions and to his wealth. You see, he has that attachment to it. He did whatever he had to do to earn it, and now he just can't disassociate from it because of what it added unto his life, what he may have received or gotten or obtained through his riches and possessions, whether it be women or he had a nice castle, concubines, livestock, whatever it is, he's attached to these possessions, so he can't let them go, even if he wants to. You see, he wanted to follow the Lord, he wanted to do what was right, but his attachment to his possessions, it couldn't allow him to do it. Now that's fearful. That's a terrible thing right there. Salakia. So Matthew 19:23 again in the NLT. It says, then Yahushua said to his disciples, I tell you the truth. It is very hard for a rich person to enter the kingdom of heaven. I'll say it again. It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich person to enter the kingdom of the Most High. The disciples were astounded. Then who in the world can be saved, they asked. Yahushua looked at them instantly and said, humanly speaking, it is impossible, but with God, everything is possible. Then Peter said to him, we've given up everything to follow you. What will we get? Yahushua replied, I assure you that when the world is made new and the Son of Man sits upon his glorious throne, you who have been my followers will also sit on 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. And everyone who has given up houses, or brothers, or sisters, or fathers, or mothers, or children, or property for my sake will receive 100 times as much in return, and will inherit eternal life. You see, that's what we do it for. We believe that the Lord is going to make good on his word. You see, here it is. You're going to bust your ass working a bullshit job, dealing with just this unpure everything in this world, the bullshit GMO food, these used up women, all of this. You're going to sacrifice walking with Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai for this world? Terrible. Terrible. Couldn't be me. It says, but many who are the greatest now will be least important then. And those who seem least important now will be greatest then. That's heavy. That's fire right there. You see, so you got to disattach from this world. This world is holding you back. You see? to quote the brother Yaquab, I love my people, but they hold me back. And that's real, you know, that's a fact. Any attachment you got to this world is going to hold you back. Because ultimately, nothing here is pure. At least in the kingdom of heaven, everything you get is pure and in righteousness. And who wouldn't want that? You're going to have everything in its glory and forever to enjoy it. You can't beat that. It gets no greater than that. Now, let's go to Luke chapter 17. I might have to stay here in that NLT. That NLT been kicking ass. NLT been fire. This is Luke 17 and 26. We're going to stay here in the NLT. It says, when the Son of Man returns, it will be like it was in Noah's day. In those days, the people enjoyed banquets and parties and weddings right up to the time Noah entered his boat. And the flood came and destroyed them all. You see? They thought, you know, during that time, they thought all was good, you know. The world wasn't going to end. They wouldn't be destroyed. But look, one day it just started raining and it never stopped. And it destroyed them all, killed them all. You see? And it's going to be the same thing here in Babylon the Great, you see? Nothing is new under the sun. The things that was written aforetime was written for our learning, for us to have, you know, something to juxtapose it by, okay? He gave us an example then. Okay, so why can't it happen now? It happened, he did it before. Why can't he do it again, you know? These are just things to think about. 28th verse. It says, and the world will be as it was in the days of Lot. People went about. See, he's giving another example. It says, and the world will be as it was in the days of Lot. People went about their daily business, eating and drinking, buying and selling, farming and building, until the morning Lot left Sodom. Then fire and burning sulfur rained down from heaven and destroyed them all. Yes, it will be business as usual, right up to the day when the Son of Man is revealed. It says, on that day, a person out on the deck of a roof must not go down into the house to pack. A person out in the field must not return home. It says, remember what happened to Lot's wife. If you cling to your life, you will lose it. And if you let your life go, you will save it. You see, we don't even have an attachment to our own lives here. You see, we're willing to sacrifice our lives, put our lives on the line for this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, you know, for our faith and our trust in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, that he's going to make a way for us. You see? No, let's get it. Let's go to Genesis 19 and 13. stay here in the NLT. It says, this is Genesis 19:13. It says, for we are about to destroy the city completely. And this is talking about the angels coming to Lot, telling him, to flee Sodom and Gomorrah, because they was going to destroy it. You see? So this was the angels giving Lot the warning to flee. So continuing on, it says, for we are about to destroy the city completely. The outcry against this place is so great, it has reached the Lord, and he hath sent us to destroy it. And everything that was going on for the angels to want to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, all the same wicked acts that was going on then, you have going on now in Babylon the Great. Shit, even 10x. It's even been magnified. It's even worse. So if the Lord sent the angels to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, and it wasn't even just Sodom and Gomorrah, it was other cities as well, but when he sent the angels to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, why can't he send angels to destroy America, Babylon the Great? Because this place is even more wicked than Sodom and Gomorrah. 14th verse. So Lot rushed out to tell his daughter's fiancés. It's like it says in Lot. So Lot went out. Yeah, so Lot rushed out to tell his daughter's fiancés, quick, get out of the city. The Lord is about to destroy it. But the young men thought he was only joking. At dawn the next morning, the angels became insistent. Hurry, they said to Lot. Take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here. Get out right now, or you will be swept away in the destruction of the city. When Lot still hesitated, and the angel seized his hand and the hands of his wife and 2 daughters and rushed them to safety outside the city, for the Lord was merciful. It says, when they were safely out of the city, one of the angels ordered, run for your lives and don't look back or stop anywhere in the valley. Escape to the mountains, or you will be swept away. Oh no, my lord, Lot begged. You have been so gracious to me and saved my life, and you have shown such great kindness, but I cannot go to the mountains. Disaster would catch up to me there, and I would soon die. See, there is a small village nearby. Please let me go there instead. Don't you see how small it is? Then my life will be saved. All right, the angel said, I will grant your request, and I will not destroy the little village. But hurry, escape to it, for I can do nothing until you arrive there. This explains why the village was known as Zor, which means little place. Lot reached the village just as the sun was rising over the horizon. Then the Lord rained down fire and burning sulfur from the sky on Sodom and Gomorrah. He utterly destroyed them along with the other cities and villages of the plain, wiping out all people and every bit of vegetation. But Lot's wife looked back, and she was following behind him, and she turned into a pillar of salt. You see? Lot's wife, she looked back, you see, because she had attachments to what they was leaving. Because Lot was a man of wealth and status, It's not like Lot was just a serf or nothing like that, you feel me? Lot was a man of status, so you could assume that they was leaving, great wealth and substance behind. But like a woman, she didn't have faith, and she looked back at, what they was leaving, and she got turned to a pillar of salt. You see? So again, everything that was written for us to learn and gain wisdom from it, you see, and understanding. That's why there's no greater book in the world than the Bible. Like, it answers all things. It has the answers to any question that even the world can't even give you the answers to. Let's go to Matthew 16:25. It says, if you try to hang on to your life, you will lose it. But if you give up your life for my sake, you will save it. And what do you benefit if you gain the world? So like it says, and what do you benefit if you gain the whole world but lose your own soul? Is anything worth more than your soul? For the Son of Man will come with his angels in the glory of his Father and will judge all people according to their deeds. You see, that's the problem here. People are too carnal. People are too full of themselves. You see, that's why people don't even take the time to really read the Bible and understand it. They got too much going on. They're trying to get to the bag. They're trying to establish themselves in the world. They're trying to be something in the world. They want to be seen. They want glory. You see, people are too caught up in the things that don't matter and ultimately aren't going to get you salvation here in the world. You see? And ultimately, that's going to be their destruction. Uh, 28th verse, it says, and I tell you the truth, some standing here right now will not die before they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. Okay, let's go to the Apocrypha. Let's go to 2nd Esdras, chapter 7, verse 41. It says, even so now, seeing corruption is grown up, and wickedness increased, and the righteous have prayed for the ungodly. It says, wherefore shall it not be so now also? He answered me and said, this present life is not the end, where much glory doeth abide. Therefore have they prayed for the weak. You see? It says, like, this present life isn't it. You see, it gets greater later. You see, there's so much more waiting for us on the other side. We just got to make it to the other side. Like, when you come into this truth, it really opens your mind and you really see the world for what it is. So when you see the world for what it is and how it's ran, you got, the top wicked elite. You got people that make decisions on your behalf and, PDF file rings, and no justice is going to be brought down on those people for their wicked acts. You see, all these things like that, it really opens your mind to the world that you live in. So you're really willing to put all your eggs into the basket, this world? You're really going to put all your faith in this world? This? Hell no. I'd rather go to the spirit world. 43rd verse, it says, but the day of doom shall be the end of this time, and the beginning of the immortality. Salakia, damn, my eyes. It says, but the day of doom shall be the end of this time, and the beginning of the immorality for to come, wherein corruption is past. Salakia, it says, but the day of doom shall be the end of this time, and the beginning of the immortality for to come, wherein corruption is past. Intemperance is at an end. Infidelity is cut off. Righteousness is grown, and truth is sprung up. Then shall no man be able to save him that is destroyed, nor oppress him that hath gotten the victory. You see, because when we finally rule the world, we being the nation of Israel, the Israelites, when we rule the world, ain't nobody gonna come and oppress us no more. Ain't nobody gonna take us out of power. You see, we're gonna be number one. We're gonna be supreme beings on the earth. So again, this present life isn't the end. There's something way better than this. So if you're willing to sacrifice that for what you got to deal with now in this world, hey, so be it. Your demise is imminent. Let's go back to the blue letter. This is Luke 14 and 25. Stay here in the NLT. It says, a large crowd was following Yahushua. He turned around and said to them, if you want to be my disciple, you must, by comparison, hate everyone else. Your fathers and mothers, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, even your own life. Otherwise, you cannot be my disciple. And it's not talking about like hate as in, you know, you have a disdain for them or nothing like that. Like you can't coexist with them or whatever. It just means like you got to be willing to sacrifice them. You got to be willing to turn away from it to follow the Lord. You got to be willing to give it up. You can't let these things of the world take you off your path, you see? I'm reading it again. Luke 14 and 26 in the NLT. It says, if you want to be my disciple, you must, by comparison, hate everyone else. Your fathers and mothers, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, even your own life. Otherwise, you cannot be my disciple. And if you do not carry your own cross and follow me, you cannot be my disciple. You see, we all are going to get put through our tests. We all are going to be tried here, especially in America. We go through trials every day. Every day is a fight. Every day is a battle. If not with the world, with yourself, you see, with the flesh. It says, but don't begin until you count the cost. For who would begin construction of a building without first calculating the cost to see if there is enough money to finish it? Otherwise, you might complete only the foundations before running out of money, and everyone would laugh at you. You see? That's why when you come into this thing, you got to see it through to the end. Imagine coming into this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of the Lord, and you become a prophet of the Lord. You out there on the highway and hedges, calling Esau the devil, letting them know the world's going to be destroyed, letting 2/3 know they're going to be destroyed, and then for what? You just to go back into the world? They're going to laugh at you. They're going to be like, what was all that you was talking, huh? What was all that shit you was kicking, huh? What happened? You know how Jake do. As soon as they get the chance, they gonna laugh at you. You see? This nigga back here with us. It says, they would say, there's the person who started that building and couldn't afford to finish it. It says, or what king would go to war against another king without first sitting down with his counselors to discuss whether his army of 10,000 could defeat the 20,000 soldiers marching against him. And if he can't, he will send a delegation to discuss terms of peace while the enemy is still far away. So you cannot become my disciple without giving up everything you own. You see, if you have any attachments to this world, you can't make it into the kingdom of heaven with Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. You're just going to have to make it in the back end after you've been destroyed here with America. You see? You see how it stresses the point of the sacrifice that you're going to have to make here in this world to see the next one? Again, you got to let go. These attachments, you got to cut them. Again, there's nothing wrong with having connections, but attachments are the problem. Even we have connections with brothers. Like there's brothers videos. You might watch that brother diligently. You never met him a day in your life, but you have a connection to that brother. You want to see that brother win. You want to see him in the chariots. You want to see him ruling in the next world, side by side in the chariots and all that. You see? The brother you out there in camp with, out there laboring with, y'all have a connection. Y'all both are fighting for the same thing. We all are fighting for the same thing. Salvation. And to rule and govern in the next world in righteousness. You see? There's nothing wrong with having connections. You might have a woman. There's nothing wrong with having a connection to your woman. But if you have an attachment, she can ultimately be a hindrance to you on this walk. So these are all things to take seriously and really think about and meditate on. It's like either you with the Lord or you not. There ain't going. You see now, in the times that we're in currently right now, you can do the half stepping, the 1 foot in, the 1 foot out. But there's gonna be a time where the Lord, He's really gonna turn this heat up, and there's really gonna be a magnifying glass on magnifying glass on everybody. You see, and we're gonna really know what everyone was made out of. You know, it's either you really believed it, you was really in this thing, or you was just playing. You know, you was just going out there on the highways and hedges every weekend, putting the garment on, playing dress up, or you was really out there for Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, pushing righteousness. See, this is deadly serious, you know. And then I'm also speaking to myself. I'm not just speaking to the brothers out there or anybody that's just listening. This goes for myself as well. You gotta look in the mirror first, you know. This is 1 Corinthians 3:19. It says, "For the wisdom of this world is foolishness to the Most High, as the scriptures say. He traps the wise in the snare of their own cleverness. And again, the Lord knows the thoughts of the wise. He knoweth they are worthless." So don't boast about following a particular human leader, for everything belongs to you. It says, whether Paul or Apollos or Peter or the world of life and death or the present and the future, everything belongs to you, and you belong to Yahweh Shai, and Yahweh Shai belongs to the Lord. You see, the wisdom of this world is foolishness to the Lord. Because ultimately, the Lord's He's going to come, He's going to send His Son to destroy everything that's in this world. Everything that's in America is going to get destroyed. So it's ultimately going to be foolish. That's what proves it's going to be foolish. Here it is, you labor so hard to do whatever it is you wanted to do in this world. To profit you what? It's going to get destroyed. At least when we working hard to labor, doing this labor of love so we can seek salvation, that's the greatest reward we can obtain. That's the greatest work you can do here on this side. There's actually a light at the end of the tunnel doing this work. But just building yourself up in this world to become something in this world and obtain something in this world, there's no light at the end of the tunnel. It's going to be the light at the end of the tunnel is fire, a missile. Now, let's go to Luke 21:34. There's Luke 21:34 in the NLT. It says, "Watch out. Don't let your hearts be dulled by carousing and drunkenness, and by the worries of this life. Don't let that day catch you unaware, like a trap. For the day will come upon everyone living on the earth. Keep alert at all times, and pray that you might be strong enough to escape the coming horrors and stand before the Son of Man." It says, every day Yahweh Shai went to the temple to teach, and each evening he returned to spend the night on the Mount of Olives. The crowd gathered at the temple early each morning to hear him. You see? It says, care not of the things of the world, you see, of this life. You see, yeah, you were in the flesh. We got to live here. We got to go day by day, going to work, getting our daily bread, paying our bills, putting clothes on ourselves, feeding ourselves, may even have children and a wife. You got to provide for them as well. Yes, these are things that we do just to sustain us. But when you're trying to become so-called rich and you want the big house, you want the expensive clothes, you want the expensive car, you want a vacation. All of these things cost money. You needed the exorbitant amounts of it to do these things. So ultimately, you're going to be putting something off. And it's always going to be this word. Why? Because it's not paying now. But it's going to pay in the end. That's how, if it's not serving you now, it's easier to do away with it. You see? Now, I'm going to end it here. Let's go to John 8:31. This is John chapter 8, verse 31. It says, Yahushua said to the people who believe in him, it says, you are truly my disciples if you remain faithful to my teaching. It says, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. You see? Through this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, that we gain through these scriptures, see, like, we really know the world we live in. You see, the shackles have been taken off of our minds. You see, we're still here in captivity. We're still here in America and really in this world in captivity and bondage. You see, but our minds have been set free through this knowledge. We got the truth. And truth is heavy. Let's do this real quick. Get the definition. Truth is the property of being in accord with fact, reality, or actually often defined as conformity to what is real. You see, this scriptures, they give us the truth, what is and what is to be. You see, it gives us the truth of what was, what is, and what is to come. And you ain't gonna get that knowledge of the truth like this 3D, this clear cut, this pure, nowhere else but these scriptures. But what good is the scriptures if you don't even understand what you're reading? And that's ultimately where the faith comes in, where the Holy Spirit comes in, where it really opens your mind to understand this truth. So, Lord's will, this lesson was edifying. Lord's will, you got something out of it. So the next time, Shalom.